Thursday. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about the different like types of poetry and like the forms and such. Before I start, I feel like it's important to tell you I am not an exact expert on this. I just had a single what's the word? A specialized class on this past semester while I was at school. I am an English major. I am on the creative writing track. So there's that. But these are all of my books. Only one of them is a textbook. It's the bottom one, the Eloquent poem, which has 128 contemporary poems in their makings. Which is really good if you're looking at like what forms you want. Like you have your Frexis, your myth poems, persona poems. I can go into more of those into detail later, but something I want to bring up a little bit, two things really. Is when I'm going to be using the Healing Her book, and I'm going to be using a little bit, there's a form called a prose poem, okay, which is just exactly as it sounds. It's just a block of text. There's there are no line breaks really. But one thing I want to bring up in this one is in prose poems traditionally aren't indents either. So you have, we're just going to use page like 22 as an example, where they have the page titled, it's alignment. And you can see there are the little indents in there. So I don't think, personally, I wouldn't classify this as a prose poem, but some people could. It's a lot, poetry's simple, but it's so complex all at the same time. So another thing I want to talk about right now is some of the things that you see commonly, especially in Rupi Kaur, in her books, like in her poetry. Most of hers it's short, it's a couple lines. Some of it. But a lot of it is what it's called is it's referred to as Instagram poetry. Something traditionally that would be read on a screen, it would be something very, very short without having to scroll. Like, again, she has one that's literally like 3 lines in here. Or one or it has like the images on it. Something else that's prominent within Instagram poetry that I found are the titles are located at the bottom of the page instead of the top. So yeah, it's also debated within the I don't want to call it the community, but it is kind of a community, about whether or not Instagram poetry is a legit form of poetry. But because I mean it's in a lot of what I have in my books. I started out my poetry journey with Rupi Kaur, as I feel like most people do, especially at my age, at the age of the young adult, the 20-year-olds and below and slightly above. I might be wrong, there might be some people that are older than me that enjoy this too. It's not an issue. But I did find other poems that I like. So a lot of people don't like Rupi Kaur and Instagram poetry, but some people see it as like, yeah, it's like a gateway into into other bigger, better stuff. I think it's good to begin with, if you really want to start getting into poetry, is starting with Instagram poetry, especially when it's written in a topic that you can understand. I think whenever you're trying to understand poetry, is always start with topics you might be able to understand. Sometimes it just takes a simple Google search, and sometimes it's just having to go by trial and error. Later on, I'll get into publishing, especially when it comes to what I've learned is the publishing's preferable do's and don'ts. I've never got anything published, but these are things I picked up from my professors that have been saying, hey, yeah, this is great, but if you're going to get this published, there's a good chance your publisher's not going to take this. And I'll use a lot of those examples in Amanda Lovelace books. I actually have 4 of hers. I have the 3 that are Women Are Some Kind of Magic. And then I don't remember what Break Your Glass Slippers is a part of what series. If it is, oh, the You Are Your Own Fairy Tale series. Okay. I haven't cracked this one open yet. Yeah. Alright, and I could go drone on and on and on about the subject. And that probably won't be the last time I bring this up, I will admit that. But remember, especially when you're reading poetry, is like pay attention to the things that you find are intriguing, especially when you're looking forward into writing it. Start by reading it. Start by reading the different things, see what you're interested in. And I'll see you back here next week. Bye.